Hey everybody, welcome to the Decipher the Media Podcast where we talk about everything in the realm of creative media. It's been a while since I've done an episode. Unfortunately, because of the circumstances of the world, I haven't been able to interview as many people, so I've been kind of thinking of ways to release content while the situation in the world normalizes. So while that's all going on, I kind of cut together a best of episode. This episode, we are focusing on filmmaking. I dug through some of my earlier episodes where I had spoken to some filmmakers, thematically keeping it within our talks about mostly the feature film. Body Farm was a big subject early on. So I pulled all those interviews from earlier on when it was very focused on Body Farm and kind of stripped them down to basically words of advice that any filmmaker could take and can take away from it. So this is sort of the summation of some words of wisdom that you might be looking for if you are working in the film industry, or you're an indie filmmaker working on projects on the side, whatever the case may be. Hopefully this can help you out in some way, getting advice from people who have done this sort of thing and what they've taken away from it. So a lot of great people that I've had on in the past. A lot of good experiences from various perspectives, including, the many roles on filmmaking, such as acting, directing, producing, anything along the subjects of how do you get a budget together, where do you find locations for a shoot. Those are other subjects that we've touched upon. So hopefully this is all good advice for you, and hopefully you can take this and give back to the community in using this. So without further ado, this is Decipher the Media, episode number 14, the Pearls of Wisdom in Filmmaking.
This film, Body Farm, initially it was 2007 I wrote it, and basically what happened was, for 7-8 years it sat on the shelf and did nothing. So I originally had just got a small crew together, was like, let's do the first 12 pages of the film and make that into like a short and use that to try to make like a Kickstarter campaign, or like, a campaign that would allow us to, generate funds in another way to make the whole film. That obviously wasn't something that we ended up doing. We made the first 12 pages, and then Nick was playing one of the characters in the film, and I basically, him being on set, it sort of happened organically, where you just kind of, after we were done, I just asked him, I said, do you want to direct this? And he was like, if you want me to, I'm in. And that's a big commitment, though. But I don't think we really knew what we were going to get into. We didn't have a time frame. We didn't really know what we were going to do as far as when the end game was going to be. So here we are, 2.5 plus, or a little over 2.5 years later.
Yeah, one of the big things that we told people when we brought them on is, hey, this is going to be a process that takes a little while. Mm-hmm. We're funding this ourselves, and we are shooting 1, maybe 2 days a month, and that's 20 days of production. Instead of taking all that and putting it into 2 or 3, 4 weeks at a time, we put everything in a spread out time frame. We did 1 or 2 days a month. We found our locations. One of the big things when I first read the feature script that was 115 to 120 pages was, I talked to Brandon, I'm like, we need to pare this down. We need to make this for our budget. And so we went through and we looked and we combined characters. We worked on many things. One of the big things that we did is we pared down characters, combined some, worked to get the script to about 75 or so pages. And that gives us, right now, we've seen five 5 full screenings of the film, and we're at an hour and 15 minutes.
I mean, we Hollywooded a little bit up, a little as they call it. You know, you doctor up a couple scenes and things like that, and we cheat shots and do what we have to do. A lot of the rooms and stuff, although they might look gigantic on film, you know, is a lot of that goes to kudos to you, Kroner, and Tim and Nick, for you guys, you know, making a lot of the stuff that's in front of the camera look unique and look bigger than it can be or bigger than it actually is. But I feel like on our set though, you wouldn't even really know we were filming a horror movie with the amount of like upbeat and fun. Like we all meshed really well together, and there was a lot of laughing, and there's so many outtakes of like
random things. I think one of the big things just in my now like 12, 13 years of doing film related work and activities and things like that is one of the biggest things is on the most serious, bloody sets, you tend to have the most fun because something needs to break the tension. And with all of that, and done a lot of horror films, those tend to be the bloodier, the funnier, while behind the camera. And so that's one thing that we can say confidently about our movie is we had a lot of fun making it.
You know, we don't have a Brad Pitt in our film, obviously. We don't have someone that carries the movie. You know, these characters, a lot of us, we are going off of what we know. I mean, and a lot of us, we have a lot of great guys that and women as well that are in this film that do an amazing job. We've even had to reach and ask Nick's wife to play a role. Our friend Brett Hollabaugh played a role in it. But we had some bigger Pittsburgh actors as well. Dave Pedai, Tom Mirth.
John Iwanahue.
I always have a hard time with that last name. I can never pronounce it.
Dave Ogrodowski.
Dave was awesome.
So Jenny Bushnell. Those
Yes.
actors helped fill out the ensemble that made Body Farm. And one thing that when we looked at that script that really drew me into it, when Brandon first said, hey, here's my script, let's make this into a feature, one of the big things that I saw was like, there are a ton of characters here that we can make something out of. We can tell a story with a bunch of unique, eclectic, different types of people.
Right.
And that's what draws me in. And we were able to take those characters, hopefully, and tell a streamlined story that you connect with. You have a whole bunch of different people that hopefully you either relate to or you just find to be fun performances to watch.
Because we had some of the best people that I've ever had the chance to work with. I mean, that are just, and obviously there's only so much money that can go around because it's such a low budget horror film. A lot of people were, driving such long distances and stuff, and like you have a crew that when you have bare bones minimum when it comes to your finances, we had people that went above and beyond expectations. I mean,
we had PAs playing extras, and we put our one production assistant through 4 or 5 hours of makeup, and, for him to sit on a cold steel table.
Luke.
Yeah. And just for a fun time, and people, we were hoping like these what over the course of 2 years, what became a crew in a job or pseudo job, however you want to phrase it, we became this like weird gel of experience.
But it was trying. It was very trying at times because you people were working regular jobs. They're this is something we were doing on Saturdays and Sundays, and that's people's weekends off. And
one weekday shoot. We shot on a Wednesday night.
What was that?
We did a interior green screen van
the
shoot.
green screens.
Ah, yes, that's right.
In my backyard with a 30-foot green screen.
In a big white van.
And it was really windy that night, I remember.
But John Gallagher, kudos to him for standing there with the lights.
Yeah, he was
our producer, John Gallagher, has 2 light stands in hand, sitting in a lawn chair, just taking in the wind as his cheeks flap.
Going to the West Virginia State Penitentiary and shooting in there with a crew of...
That day we had
20, I don't even...
33, I think, total with extras, behind-the-scenes crew, makeup artists, grips, camera people, a technical expert there that we brought on from the prison itself, Chuck Gent. We
got so many like well-established, really good professional young filmmakers that it's just been completely surreal that we got this lucky to have such a great group of people. A Although I when I wrote this script, I never in a million years imagined that this was what it was going to be like, and it's been so cool that I still like get chills thinking about all of the people that partook in this. You know, we had so much going on and so many things, and people had 4 or 5 jobs at a time. I mean, we didn't, you know, there wasn't like we had a budget for a crew of 300 people. I mean, there's some things that go on that require certain efforts and stuff. You know, Steve, you and Tim and Nick, obviously you guys got on the same page with doing some of those things.
One of my favorite parts of the entire 2-year process was sending Brandon that subtle text message or email. Hey, Brandon, we need this. He's like, do we really need that? This cost us. I'm like, we need that.
But in Nick's defense, he has had the uncanny ability to save me so much when it comes to sets. He's very good at picking sets, though, that I'm entirely too tall for. But he still uses lenses and the cameras necessary to make it work. There's a lot of just trust me, Brandon. And honestly, in the end, after editing everything, I do. I trust, you know, Dave Majcher, another guy, our sound guy. Like, you have to just trust in people. And, like, you know, as time would go on, you know, you learn their styles and you get used to it and you listen to them and you know, again, I hate using this word, but organically it started to come together. By the time we were finished shooting, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, it just was getting better and better. But, you know, Nick did, honestly, there was times where I wanted to buy stuff and Nick's like, don't even bother. We can do this and we can adjust this and you can do it for that much cheaper. Filmmaking is so bizarre in that sense that although what you might see with your naked eye as opposed to what you see with a lens can be completely different.
Mm. I will say overall, working with this crew helped us in taking the experiences I've had on other films and their experiences and sort of meshing all of those together brought this to where it is.
Mm-hmm. We had to, hey, you got to make, that's the thing about filmmaking, though. You have to improvise and find, you know, your best case scenario, what you can use. I mean, like I said, luckily it was one of the situations where we were able to build a, you know, a set directly into Nick's basement. We built 2 into mine. Like, it just, to pay for permits or to pay to film at a certain location or just to obtain a certain location is really difficult to do. That I've learned that now as a filmmaker. Like, you know, we're not...
2 sets in my basement. I just remembered. We used the brick wall in my garage.
Yes, that's right. We needed hallway shots. Yeah. Figured it out. And again, this was another day where I'm looking at the set, like them prepping everything. I was like, this isn't going to work. There's no way it's going to work. And then I watched it on film. I'm like, this definitely works. Well, I guess what I was getting at with all of that is that we've worked at, there's so many different settings and so many different, like, I mean, I just was watching some of the behind the scenes stuff we have a lot of security cam shots in this film. And there's one where, Kroner, you were walking out in the middle of, like, the field by yourself, and it's just windier than hell, and there's snow's coming down, and, like, you could see the look on your face, and it was just, like, you know, I mean, it was a miserable day to be filming. I think Tori was sick that day.
Yeah, my wife had some sort of sinus infection going on, and...
You wouldn't know it.
We put her in 20-degree weather, and the snow came down, set the scene beautifully. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of times though where you work as filmmakers that you have to quote unquote make do.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere in Hopewell Township.
Yeah.
And up on top of this hill, and the snow's just falling, and she's sick. Mm-hmm. The crew is bundled to all hell.
It was not hell, a tundra. But yeah, it was cold. I mean, it was miserable, and we had a guy who
had
to lay on ground in freezing cold for 4 hours.
Got an inner ear infection. Sorry, Brian. I want to fill a theater. I want people to see this.
Yeah.
I want to see the people who have supported us to see it, and that's the biggest goal for this for us.
Yeah, and the most important part is that we get it done right, and when we do, everybody that has worked so hard on it, and we have lots of friends and family that want to see it as well.
I have none.
Nick doesn't have any friends and family.
I have family and no friends.
But we do. We want to make sure that we get everybody in the seats and be able to see what we've done, and we hope that they enjoyed as much as we have, you know, in the last 2.5 years of just working on it. I mean,
definitely.
Yeah.
Has it been like a bit of a learning experience for you to kind of do this?
Completely.
Yeah.
I didn't know. There was things you taught me. I didn't even know. There was just a lot of different, like, terminology too. I mean, you have different lenses, and like we used a Canon. Is it a 60 or a 5D?
60.
Yeah. Okay. So we used the Canon 60.
Sometimes 2.
Yeah, we had 2 going at once at one point. But like, I looked at the camera when it first came in, and I'm like, wait, this isn't what a film camera's supposed to look like.
Oh, it's not at all a film camera. It's a DSLR, but it can, it shoots well enough that you can get good footage.
You guys nailed it with the right lenses. I mean, and I learned so much from it. Like, this has just been such a unique experience.
One of the things that I've learned through working in this community is you don't need all the most expensive equipment to make a good movie.
Right.
Really, all you need is a knowledge and a good crew that connects well, understands your vision.
Right.
And what you want to bring to life. And if you have all those pieces put together, I mean, you can still make a good film without having a huge budget, renting out all these these big cameras and lights and all that stuff. So
absolutely.
One of the big things that Brandon and I talked about when we were sitting down trying to figure out how to do this was like, how are we going to do it camera-wise? How are we going to figure out our budgets? We don't have a budget for a red. We don't have a budget for a black magic. We don't have that aspect of it. How are we going to make that work? And when we sat down and discussed it, what came out was story. We're going to make this work, hopefully, through the story that we're telling.
Right.
And if that means shooting it on an iPhone 5 at the time, or 4, I don't even know the time frame, it's been so long. But regardless of what the actual technology is, if you tell a story, if you have good sound, if you've created engaging visuals,
right,
have cool characters. I mean, ultimately, to me, I think that's the biggest strength of Body Farm is there are so many cool characters. Everybody has their own little idiosyncrasies that you can connect to, or you can connect to, or you can connect to.
Yeah. I remember when I wrote the script, too, there was somebody that I met with that was like, you need to make these characters likable. And he kept stressing that to me over and over and over again. Like, what is it about these characters that make you want to like them and make you want to care about them? And I feel like, writing-wise, sometimes you don't always get it until that actor gets on set and really makes it happen. We're all the characters have just been so much different. I mean, even the 3 main characters are all completely different people, but they get along and they interact well together, on film. At least the way it's been cut, it looks that way.
To us, to the 12 people that have seen the test screenings, pacing means everything in the indie film world. And I've watched so many films that even I've been a part of that it's just, you're like, where is this going? Mm-hmm. I've lost a lot of my life on FearNet when it existed. And
they had some good ones, though.
Yeah, Santa's Sleigh with Bill Goldberg.
Yes.
And
there's a lot of there's a lot of films on it. You're just like,
Santa rides an oxen,
but you can't help but say, I'm going to at least watch the first.
No, and I watched it all. Like, my whole thing is, I've committed to everything. I will commit to a movie 100%. The only movie that I've ever shut off on the first viewing was Time Machine, but that's a story for another day. But the one thing, even losing all those days of my life watching FearNet, is pacing. And I think with Body Farm, we've established something that goes very quickly. I peeked the mic there, sorry.
It's fun.
And
you'll be snapping your fingers at me.
I snap. I'm in a doo-wop gang.
But no, I think to get to what you're saying, it does. I mean, like, those are the things, though, that, like, Nick is saying that I really wasn't even thinking about that much, but now, once you actually get the chance to see it, I believe that it does tell a compelling story and it does keep moving quickly. I mean, I hope that...
I don't want to be lost in the story.
Right. The people that have done the test screenings, I've actually taken them aside and say, just shoot me straight. Tell me if you do or do not like it. Is there anything about it that you're not a fan of? And they've given us tidbits and stuff about it that they think needs changed, and we're going to definitely work that in, and you have to listen to your audience and be realistic. I'm not Scorsese, you're not, we're not, we don't have this gigantic budget, and we also don't have his mind. We're our own entity, we're filmmakers, and we're trying to create a good story.
Yeah, I think, too, one of the things that we struggled with as directors, and it's not with each other, but just in general, is finding that pacing that flows. And there were times where I just sat Brandon down, or he sat me down, like, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we have to just remove this aspect of the story, or we have to put this.
And there's been times where we both, like, one of us didn't want to let go, and there's times where it's like, no, it has to be in there, and we have to do it. But like you said, you have to work together. And
I mean, we ended up shooting 6 pickup shots, something like that, 5 or 6.
Well, we reshot at least 12 pages, I think, too.
Well, not even including the reshoot, because we did a reshoot The original stuff that we shot in the very first time we shot just didn't work story-wise once we did the rewrite for the feature. So we went back and I think we maybe kept one quick scene from that.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, and it was maybe 30 seconds long.
Going back and looking at it, the reshoot was worth every single penny spent because it really does sell the film. And again, like Nick said, pacing, you guys.
I don't think some people realize that, who may not work in film as much or, only see things from, when they're going to, as an audience member, that how much, like, certain jobs do on set, like, especially ADs. Kevin Hejna, I mean, he's
in charge of safety, he's in charge of organization, he's in charge of all these different little aspects.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
And the one thing, too, and Kevin was great with this, and you and Tim both were, is, okay, we've set this tone in this scene. We shot it 4 months ago. Now this is like Brandon's character walking through to the next scene. How do we match that lighting? Because these rooms are side by side.
That's crazy.
I mean, Tim was great for keeping all of that organized. He's like, well, we actually use blue lighting coming through here. I was like, okay, so then we got to we had a little spot of blue here, and then we go to... All of those things came together, and I think it was kudos to those people involved that were able to do that, because I know in my head I had it, but then that whole idea of you're on set, I'm acting and I'm directing at the same time, it's this weird balance that you're trying to find.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
crazy.
It's just, like I said, it's just been surreal. I mean, it's like, it's the chance to make a movie with some of your closest friends, and like getting to visit some of the places that we have. We've gone places that I never expected it to work out that way. Nick was the one that contacted the Moundsville State Prison in West Virginia, and he's like, hey, they're film friendly. Like, let's go take a tour.
They told me, they're like, we're film friendly, and 4 of us went down and did a tour and got freaked out.
It's very creepy.
Yeah, if you are a camera person, you want something that's simple and quick to set up. If you're the director, you probably want something that's insanely impossible. So that's usually the mentality that goes on set.
It's that mentality anywhere. I mean,
you
have your crew to keep you grounded in reality. The director needs to really be thinking as ambitiously as possible. Like that's the person that's
going
really,
above and beyond.
That person needs to drive the crew. But everyone's crew needs to be realistic and think, okay, maybe we can't do a flying 360.
But the way that it was shot was really awesome. We used a Steadicam. If you're not familiar with what a Steadicam is, it's pretty much a camera that's kind of like you're strapped to it pretty much. And to help it, as the name implies, keep it steady. Do you work with Steadicams a lot?
A little bit, yeah. I have.
So you know how the physics and mechanics of it all works?
It's right? Yeah, it's entirely a basic mechanical piece. You have Steadicams, you have gimbals now, are very popular also.
Oh, yeah,
Gimbals are electronic. It's like a 3-axis motor. That's everything's working to keep everything stable. Where Steadicams, I mean, those go back since the 70s. I think 71 was the first time a Steadicam was used, maybe?
Oh, really?
75.
Was it 5?
I know I used it in Rocky. There was a movie before that. I forget the name of the movie, but it's the one with David Carradine, and he's like a folk singer. And they start out in a crane. The crane comes down,
and a Steadicam
and
operator
then
walks off.
it's like a train sort of thing. And then the crane comes down, and he walks off of it. And
totally
it blew
blew
everybody's
people's
minds.
minds.
Like, how did you do that shot?
That's how it is.
Rocky was the second one. There's been
and
going
that
up
camera operator, I wish I remembered his name. I should know
Garrett
this stuff.
Brown.
Yeah, so he invented it to basically do that, and everyone realized it was so, like, why not just keep doing this? It's mobile, but yeah, it basically just utilizes gravity and physics to keep the center of gravity from falling from outside, and it just pulls it down. Really cool stuff. You don't have to worry about batteries. That's the nice thing about them. The more electronics you have, the more things, more gremlins you have to deal with.
Yeah, you have to get those big battery packs, have everything strapped to.
There's electrical gremlins always happen. The more electronics you have, the more issues you just think, what the hell? I have to keep hitting this thing, just keep slapping it till it works, and it
Slap
does.
it till it works.
It's The Shining when the kid is like riding on the bike through the overbooked hotel, and then he turns a corner, and then there's the two creepy twins. That's Steadicam.
Nice, very nice.
And Goodfellas, which the bar scene in Goodfellas, which was this was a homage to.
And Boogie Nights was a very similar scene that what Goodfellas did. They did something very similar a few years later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it basically was like a roller rink.
Okay.
Roller
I don't
rink.
think I've seen Boogie Nights.
It's very, very Goodfellas like. They probably called it the
okay.
Goodfellas shot at that point, to be honest with you.
It gives your camera kind of a weightless quality.
I was a director of photography, but I wasn't actually operating the Steadicam in
Typically
those
they
shots.
don't.
Yeah. So.
It's an art into itself. I mean, it's not just composing the shot at that point. You get to it's almost like a full body workout almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your entire body kind of like operates it at that point.
I know it's like Angela was saying, like it doesn't do certain things well, so you kind of have to set the shot up. It takes a lot of work. This is Moundsville Penitentiary, which is in West
There
Virginia.
wasn't as many cues because we were just doing a pan across the prison cells pretty much.
And also, focus was. It wasn't less critical. Focus is always critical, but the plane of focus doesn't change that entire shot.
Right.
At the prison, because it's basically a tracking shot.
Yeah.
And the plane of focus is always equal distance from the camera at any point in time. Where when you're walking forward, your plane of focus changes like exponentially quickly the entire time. So your blocking
that
has
definitely
to be
makes
precise.
makes it more difficult.
Yeah.
We definitely, I mean, the credits in the film, they'll say, specific jobs that we did, but we really all wore multiple hats on this production.
Definitely.
So it wasn't just, limited to whatever we're credited as.
Call sheets are like an art form that you just cannot do without. If you know someone can do a call sheet, it's like you need that.
So
it's your main form of
Call sheets are like
communication.
99% of the work on a film
Yeah, I mean
set.
that is the main form of communication and tying the crew together. Like literally, if you don't have a good call sheet, the crew just falls apart before it even starts. That's the glue that helps the day actually even happen. Kevin, what is your favorite part about doing call sheets?
Is it the part where you put things on the call sheet?
It's gonna be profound right here. Call sheets.
Tell us about call sheets, Kevin.
Oh, well, all right. This is interesting. Nick will send me, this is what we're shooting. You have to then take the script and you sort of turn it into a piece of modernist art. You have like different markers, and this is an actor, and this is everything you need.
Okay.
And then it's sort of like you make a list. And then you say, Nick, this is everything we need. Is everything we're going to need there? Yes or no, or we don't need this. And usually Nick's like, don't worry about A, B, C, and D, and we got you covered. So, and then you just, I don't know, you make a giant spreadsheet out of it. And then you proofread it. And hope what didn't happen the one day when Dave Majcher the call sheet, everybody had to be here at 9 a.m. for reasons that I don't know. I put his call time at 11. Luckily, he noticed that it was 9 a.m. and didn't show up at 11.
Oh, that's good.
I was like, hey, Nick, how do you feel about shooting a silent film? He wasn't too pleased about that idea, as you can imagine.
Why not?
Yeah.
Worked out.
So what was your interesting part? I know call sheets. You guys get the more sexier jobs, don't you?
The sexier jobs. Yeah.
I've AD'd
I mean,
a few,
chicks love the camera guys, right?
I've AD'd a few projects in my life, and I feel like AD is the unsexiest job because you don't get the credit that an AD, ADs don't get credit for what they should.
ADs.
AD is the toughest job on set, in my opinion, of things I've done in my entire life. The hardest shoots I've ever had, I was AD on. I just think you have to have such a bird's eye view, and details. You're the person that's making sure those details are, if they're not being handled, you're figuring out how it can be handled and who can handle it at that point.
And Kevin's not going to admit this, but he was probably the hardest working person on this production.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. You schlepping all that equipment around. I'm not sure about that.
Well, there's a huge difference between physical and just details. To me,
Yeah, the details.
To me, I would do 70, 80 hours of physical, just grip work a week. And, and I'll be less tired than I do if I do 40, 50 hours of ADing and producing and detailing things. It's so much more stressful and taxing.
Yeah, there's a difference between being physically tired and then being mentally tired.
Yeah. We're filming the same location as Netflix's Mindhunter.
Yeah.
At the same exact time.
So
I mean, they weren't there that day that we were there, but
no, but they
Fincher didn't come in and say maybe you should try this one.
Hey, can you guys keep it down? We're trying to shoot over here.
We walked in the bathroom. He was in the stall next to us.
What's up, Fincher?
So we're
Finchy.
So we're here. This was the block we were shooting in, and then it was literally the next block over was the Mindhunter set.
Very large range of types of sets that we shot on. Some of them were actual real locations, and some of them were, made in someone's basement. So. Or in someone's garage.
We could do a drinking game. Every time someone thinks it's in the basement, they drink. Every time they're wrong, they get to drink again.
Yeah, some of those lenses, the camera's lenses, they are very, very expensive. And as a reminder, you don't need, you probably don't need tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment to make a movie, because we definitely did not have the most expensive camera gear
I feel like it's equalized out. Back when it was filmed and it was 16 millimeter, Blair Witch Project, you could tell an obvious difference between. Now it seems like if you guys have the skill as you guys, the equipment is to the point where you could almost pass it off as being.
Yeah. There's still going to be obvious differences. There are certain features, in cinema cameras that, a DSLR obviously isn't going to have. But, we shot I think pretty much the entire thing on a Canon EOS 6D. So. That's
the speed that we had to go to. If we went any bigger, just imagine if you had something that was 25 pounds you had to carry from shot to shot and get it set up fast.
Oh yeah.
We were doing.
Yeah,
I think we were doing 25 shots a day on average, probably.
Yeah. I did a 48 with Sony F65. It was crazy. I don't know how this guy, literally, he couldn't do certain moves the director asked for because it was just so a beast of a machine. Yeah. Have you ever used one of those like this?
Yeah.
I've not used. No.
I think it was an F65.
They're a pretty big camera. You need support. You need to have a lot of support behind it.
In the Avengers, there's not the whole movie, but there are certain shots where explosions went off, or they didn't want to put high-end cameras where they used your camera basically.
Oh, really?
For just random street stuff. It's not the whole movie, but
I know some Hollywood director of photography that say they'll use Canon 1DCs as crash cams because they don't want to risk putting ARRI red out there. So they'll end up using DSLRs and just for things that are high risk for them. They're still using similar technology we're using.
So we shot this on a camera that there are certain shots in the Avengers were used with our camera. So
yeah, it can be done. You can shoot a feature film on a DSLR.
If you're telling a story where you want to be talking, doing high impact Avengers style scenes, but you don't have $50 million of budget, then you have to then think, what really matters in this story? What does this story really say?
Yeah.
And
that's pretty much what I'm trying to say.
The story is not asking for these superhero on superhero battle for 2 hours. There's an orgy of superheroes fighting. That's not what it's about.
There are productions where you get on and you don't get along with, certain people, and it can just bring it all down pretty much.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much experience you might have, or how experienced everyone is on set. If these guys are all professionals and they do this for a living, if they all hate each other, it's definitely gonna create a very terrible work environment, and it's going to probably result in a terrible product from that environment.
Yeah, you always hear movies that have issues. You watch movies and you're like, I see that they had crew issues. I can kind of see it coming across on the screen right now.
Yeah, most definitely. So definitely, find the crew. If you're making a film, find that crew that you can bond with on set, and that can understand your ideas to bring to life, and to even if it's just a group of friends, even if you guys have like no experience, but if you have ideas that you want to bring to life, it shouldn't stop you from making a movie.
Well, let me reverse this then, and let me ask you a question. Working with us as actors and actresses, like, what was one of your favorite parts out of the movie, like as far as working with actors and actresses and filming us?
Oh, jeez.
Totally flipping script on you right now.
Yeah. Put me on the spot here. I mean, I guess it would just be to see you guys perform. I mean, to see how you take what is on the script and bring it to life. Because everyone has their own way of doing it. Everyone has their own way of preparing for a scene. Everyone has,
Or not preparing.
Yeah, there was a lot of you remember that,
preparing.
and we made poor Hejna. He was losing his mind at times. He'd come up to Nick and be like, "Oh, listen, Brandon," actually, it was Brett doesn't know his lines, so what should we do? And Nick's like, "No, that's fine. That's just what we."
Yeah, that's Brett.
That's how we roll.
Brett probably did 90% of it
Off the cuff.
Off the cuff, yeah. Just kind of did his own thing, and it was fine for his character. It just kind of worked out. But yeah, so it was really cool to see, the way that Brett works or the way that you guys worked. I mean, everyone has their own method of preparing for a role. So
yeah, absolutely. I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I remember the first day we shot. We did my section, and then after we were done with that, they're like, okay, get ready because we're going to shoot another part of your scene. And I was like, wait, what? And I had lines, actual lines. I didn't have to moan and groan because I was in pain. It was more lines. And I was like, wait, I have to memorize this stuff in 5 minutes? They're like, yep, we're starting in 5 minutes. And I was like, shit. So not prepared. But I made it work.
Yeah, that's it's kind of like the job of the actor is being able to kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Right, and there was a lot of times on our sets that you don't know as an actor how to act or react to a scene until you place yourself into that scene, and that I feel like goes a long way. I was not a part of some of the scenes that you were in, but I think that when I would walk into a certain scenario or a certain situation, again, there's lights all around you and lights going, it's when you think about that character and you think about all that, I would do lines over and over again with Brett and Nick, and it would never click until I'm under the lights and in front of the camera. Yeah. There was no getting into that character like there was when you're actually in the scene. And again, a lot of people might watch this podcast after the fact, but I feel that there were parts at the end of the film that those parts, I didn't see myself getting into character until I'm in that actual scenario that you guys all lit and put together.
But you can't think about it when you're there. You just got to do it. You can't think. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So, but in beforehand, when you're preparing, you're thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How am I going to improvise this? And then when you're in those lights, that's when it just the magic happens.
Yeah, you got to be what you're meant to be.
Right.
Exactly.
I feel like too with filmmaking, I would imagine that's. I haven't done a lot of auditions. Nick would know this way better than I would, but auditions got to be tough because you have to think of yourself in that situation. For us, it was when we walked in on set. That's whenever I could put it on. We would be laughing, having a good time, and then boom, as soon as we walk in on set, it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
It's that is the beauty though of filmmaking. I think it's really, really cool to put yourself in that scenario and situation. We had a great time on all of our sets. I feel like there was a lot of great times to like laugh and have fun, and I made so many good friends like through this movie, and bringing people in and like watching you guys work and do what you do. And you all have an amazing craft as Pittsburgh filmmakers, or filmmakers I should say, not just Pittsburgh. But it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. That's the way a film set should be. I understand that film sets are sometimes there's a lot of moments where you
want to kill somebody.
Yeah, you want to like in your movie, you want to kill someone.
Yeah, the chemistry is definitely present within the movie. You know, everything that happened behind scenes everything that happens in front of the screen is a reflection of what happened behind the scenes.
It's almost like we didn't even make a horror film, though. That's how fun it was.
Yeah,
like everybody just had so much fun. Because
it's you know, everything that you see on screen is complete opposite of like the mood. The mood is the complete opposite of like what happens behind the scenes. Because we were all just having a good time, having some laughs, and just enjoying ourselves while we were making this.
I'll tell you what, that was probably the hardest part, is that there were some very emotional scenes in the film. And getting into character when you walk, you know, from behind the scenes and then in front of the camera. The hardest part is taking yourself from that element of like, you know, being cheery, having a good time, to like complete sadness right in front of that camera.
Yeah.
That was something that literally, and then this is not a joke, Fireball helped me do it. You know, Nick literally as a director sat me down and talked to me and said, like, I need you to be this kind of character. And I'm going to let you take these headphones. I need you to listen to this music. And I was like, I need a couple shots and just get myself to that point where like you draw in that sadness.
Yeah,
and it's
work
because
yourself to tears.
You do. Yeah, absolutely. And on our set, we had, there was points where we had 15 people behind cameras that I literally was goofing around with, and that might be one of my faults, is that I love to goof around with people and have a good time, and then I walk in front of the camera and I have to be a completely different person. But again, that's acting.
But that is the majesty, the magic of acting, is that you are able to do that, and kudos to you guys for doing it so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I do. I hope that in the end, although yes, we all it was like hanging out with your friends and making a movie, which again, that was like the Adam Sandler joke or whatever, is that he would always have his friends on set.
Yeah.
But like I do believe that we've made a good movie up to this point. We've had a great time doing it, which a lot of times filmmaking isn't that way.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's all the people that you work with, though.
True.
You know what I mean? So it's like you said, you make friends. And the only person that I knew out of this whole thing in the beginning was Brandon. And then I met Nick and a couple of the other guys at the gym. But then when I came in on that first set that I did, that's when I got to know everybody. And it actually was more like a family, like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like everybody's just so chill and cool and accepting and inviting and everything, and that's what makes it easier to be on camera that way too, to where you're laughing and having a good time, and then all of a sudden you got to be like drawn into that character, and that's but it's easier when you're around people that you're comfortable with.
Oh, absolutely. And I emphasized this before, and I'll emphasize it again. I mean, if the chemistry is not there on set, it is represented within the film. Even if you're just if you're starting out and making your first film, and I didn't mention this on this podcast, did I? When even if it's just you and a group of friends that are just making maybe if you don't even have any experience at all, but you have an idea. I mean, if you're, you all get along, you all bond, that's going to make for good chemistry when you're making this. I mean, it doesn't matter what equipment you have, how much experience you have. If the chemistry, if the chemistry's not there, it's not going to make a good film. I mean, even if you have all this expensive equipment and you're a bunch of professionals, if you can't get along with each other, it's not going to work.
Right.
So.
Right.
we gel perfectly as a group of filmmakers. I don't want to ever put, Gena's not just an actress. I'm not just an actor. You're not just a director of photography. We're all filmmakers here.
Yeah.
And we love what we do, and we love being a part of this whole process. I've had people ask me a couple of times, like, "Oh, are you this bigwig producer or whatever?" Like, I'm like, no, not at all. Like, I'm the farthest thing from it. In fact, I probably have less production value to a team than anybody, because you guys are truly the magic makers of making this film happen. Steve, without you, we don't have your camera. Without you, we don't have your lights. Without you, I don't have the opening of my film. Like, there are all of those things that go into it that make a movie happen.
It was fun in the beginning and fun my last day of shooting. I mean, that nobody changes as a person, but the fact that, I don't know, it progressed a lot as to the professionalism. You learn a lot about a person whenever you're working with them. So you learn about like their funny quirks, but then you learn about the seriousness about it too. So, in the beginning and then the last time I shot, like I had to be serious. There was no funniness to my character. So, for me, I don't know, I kind of had to stay the same. But everybody else, it progressed a lot as opposed to the professionalism of it.
Yeah.
So.
I do. I feel like we as filmmakers grew a lot.
Yeah, big time.
Oh, definitely.
In 3 years of filming, we learned how to work with each other. Like I said, by the end, I've said this on a couple of interviews now, we were a well-oiled machine by the end of this.
Right.
The first day of shooting, it was all brand new to most of us.
See, I can say being on set for major films, because I was on Southpaw, and then I did Concussion. But when you're just an extra from that, like for a feature, like for a big feature film like that, and then I kind of look back to that, and then I look back to this film, I felt like this was more. It was more like fast paced. It wasn't like, okay, you stand around and wait, you stand around and wait. No, you shot, you kept doing it till the directors thought it was perfect. And like, okay, nope, keep doing it. Nope, go back, do it again. When you're on the major films, it was more like, okay, you stand around and wait, and then they wait for the actors, and then they wait for this person, and they wait for that person. Then you're literally like taking an hour just waiting. When I worked with you guys, it was like, okay, let's do it. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And that's what I loved about it, because you're not standing around and waiting. Like you're working, and you're working hard. It's not like you're just.
Yeah, I believe that a lot of that comes from the fact that we were on a low budget. An extreme low budget at that.
Time was precious. Time was money.
Right.
Yeah. It was like, get in there, get your parts shot, and
you were renting out these places so that we could only use them for certain amounts of time. So like we had to get in there and get what we needed.
Gena's scenes that she had, there was several intense moments that it wasn't just her. It was special effects, like everything. Like, and that goes to Rachel, who did some of the special effects the first day of shooting. You have to believe in them, and you have to believe that they're gonna take care of you and do what's right. Out of everything that I edited, I really feel like there was minimal. Like, everybody's like, oh, there's gonna be so many behind the scenes or like mess ups and stuff. There wasn't that many. There are some, yes. Don't get me wrong, but there's minimal. We would take 5 to 6 takes of something. One of them, there was like, the goofing around joke mess up scene, but you have 5 great takes in a row, and that I think I commend my crew and for their efforts, because that's what makes it, go so smooth and make you literally go straight to work, and there's no sitting around waiting. There were some moments where we had people that probably had to wait around to do like the restaurant scene and things like that. But I do believe that like we were understanding of people's time, and respectful. I do think the word respect is big time on stuff that we've shot.
Yeah.
I worked with Dr. Phil. Really?
I
The
worked on-
Dr. Phil.
I worked on the Dr. Phil show. He wasn't on set, but I worked for Dr. Phil's project production. He did I got a call, and I was just like, hey, we want you to, we need an audio guy. We're in a pinch. We want you to use this old-ass sound mixer. We don't want you to use your kit and to run it. I'm like, well, what is this old-ass sound mixer? Sound Devices 422. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's just like, I think it's the 442. No, it's the 442 or 422 or whatever. But it's this old mixer that doesn't have a screen on it, and it just has a bunch of lit up buttons. And they're like, oh, we need an audio guy. It's a super easy mixer to use, and we need somebody to come in and go out and work for the Dr. Phil show. We have to go it's in Ohio, travel out in location with your camera guy, and start making the show work. So I get to the location in the morning. Luckily, I brought my kit because I was worried. I was like, shit, I don't know if I'm gonna know how to use this old ass archaic 20-year-old mixer. I go into the location, and the camera guy named Chuck, the meanest guy I've ever met in my life.
Oh, really?
The prick. He was 75, and he's just like pissed that I was there. He's like, he basically told me, he's like, I'm not happy that you're here, and we have to travel out to Ohio because you have put yourself in a bad situation. You don't know how to use this mixer. I'm like, I got my kit, though. It's okay. I'm probably not even going to use the mixer. I'm not going to tell the company I'm using their kit because I just need to. They're just doing camera audio. I'm just doing a feed to a camera. Once you feed a camera, then your audio actually, it doesn't even matter what you record on the mixer. It's just feeding the camera. So they don't know the difference if you're using your own kit or their kit. It doesn't matter because you're just outputting to the camera and it works. But Chuck was very rude. He basically says, whatever you gotta do, get the job done. Do it. Get it? Shut up. I was like, wow, good morning to you, jackass.
And
I've been on there's more and more so I've been on some bigger things, some small things, and a lot of small projects I've been on with really good people, and some people they think you're like the best thing. You're like, oh, you're working for me today? Oh, well, here's me. This is what I do, and make it happen. And I'll be like, and I'm going to be a douche because you're here because I'm wonderful and I'm not going to pay you anything. I'm like, no, no. But yeah, Chuck was rude. The car ride all the way up, 2 hours out in the middle of Ohio. Dr. Phil was not there. I was sad. But it was only a 3-hour day, which was really nice. We only shot for 3 hours, but we drove for 4 hours. But the guy was so stingy, so rude, and he didn't play any music in the car, which really sucked. So I had to listen or not listen to anything. Working in Cleveland for a 21-day movie called Anhedonia. Stars Breckenmeyer and Emily Kinney. Breckenmeyer is Road Trip and Rat Race. Emily Kinney is The Walking Dead, girl who played Beth. So I'm stoked to actually be on probably the biggest project I've ever landed in the audio industry for myself so far.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to be a part of it, and it's going to be a 21-day straight film. So it's like a 266-hour week. So I don't know if a lot of people can do that, but I'm going to do it.
Oh, hey, it's it's an opportunity. It's definitely worth it, especially with that kind of. I mean, that is definitely a bigger. Would you say it's more of a bigger indie budget?
Oh yeah. So the project has I was told that it has a $250,000 budgeted project. Me and Steve normally work on projects that have like 20,000 and under, and like that's like still what's weird. Low films or low budget films, or if it's under $1 million, it's still considered a low indie. What me and Steve normally work on are something called ultra low indies or passion projects, as they're really mainly called. Because is
that the official terminology for it?
Yeah, ultra low. Ultra low is just like below, like way below $1 million. And like we're normally working on ultra low projects. They're they're passion projects. They're it's called ultra low.
Oh, okay.
Because low indie is, under $1 million, and still like this project's like it's $250,000 budget. Almost like, damn, this is awesome. I've never been on a project this big. We're shooting on a freaking bus and crap, like an actual like transportation bus. It's actually a very simple script. I finished it today, and it's I can't say anything about it, but like very dialogue heavy.
Okay.
Extremely dialogue heavy.
Well, I mean, that's understandable for something that low of a budget. You know, you got to emphasize, at least from my personal experience, you have to emphasize more on the story.
This is a straight up story piece that I landed.
it is like it was like when I got 75 pages in, it was like there was only like 35 scenes. Yeah, but no, that's all. It's gonna be interesting. A lot of dialogue, and I've done a very heavy dialogue script before. Me and Steve got to work on a really fun project called Body Farm. We just kill everyone with blood and guts going everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Like I like working on projects that have a lot of off script stuff or off. It's like, or I guess it's called across the page, like stuff in. Like action in between the dialogue, like stuff that has a lot of action, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. A lot of dialogue stuff means I'm gonna get really tired holding a boom really fast.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because audio is very important for that.
Oh my god, it's gonna be body mic heaven, relying all about body mics, and then I'll probably have a sound. I asked for a sound PA to hold the boom for me time and time, just because there's time where I will definitely have to.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, at least it's not like audio. I mean, would you say audio action shots would be a lot harder to coordinate?
It's audio action shots are more so like a scratch track. If you're doing like, say it's like a crazy ass sequence with guns. I worked on a project 2 years ago. I worked on a project with Chris Nesbolinsky, whatever, I can never pronounce his name. Whatever. He's a guy who did the project called Truce, which is like a Vietnam film, and we did a reshoot of a Vietnam film 2 years ago. And speaking of like doing audio for gun scenes, like it's like it's a little crazy, and it's like a boom, like it's just easier. Just have to like it's just like a boom microphone. If certain things clip because guns go off, well, that's fine because you're gonna Foley that in later. That's really what it is. Yeah,
there's a lot of things that go on in post production for that.
It's like assuming. So post production heavy, and it's just easier. Dialogue can be tricky just because like you got to get it right.
Yeah,
you got to get it clean and you got to get it right.
Absolutely,
so that'll be a little stressful.
ADR is not most of the time not great, right? Not a great alternative.
Yeah, it's not bad. You just want to get it as clean as you can. I've been pretty good with a lot of the projects I've done. Very, very minimal. I've done like two ADR sessions this year, and it's been relatively really, really easy. So no, it all depends on how you record it on set, and my job is to make it as clean as possible and explain to the production what's happening if there is a problem.
Right.
And how can we fix it, or
right.
What are we going to do in post-production to make it better?
Right. Communication is key. I understand that.
Yeah, it's really bad. In the industry, I do other jobs. I work as a grip a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I do a lot of grip work. I've done stuff in the union for grip, and I'm going to continue to get some days. Hopefully, I get hired Mindhunter Season 2 to do grip days to get my days into the union. So I'll probably be a union grip before I'm a union sound guy. And I've done some camera work in the past. Shooting for Brandon Keenan and some other people time to time, or I've done. Yeah, I don't really shoot as much as I used to. I used to shoot when I was like out of college. I shot, but I just don't focus on it. I wanted to focus just mainly on sound and doing grip work.
I know in the past I've talked extensively about Body Farm, but how was it for you from a sound guy's perspective?
Body Farm was cool. When was that? That was how many years did we work on that? When I came in, whenever like they reevaluated the crew.
I think it was like 3 years.
Was it like 3 years ago?
After that point, when they did a sort of reevaluation.
Yeah, I guess I've known him for like 2.5 years, like 2.5-3 years ago now.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, like I think I jumped on the Body Farm in my first year of freelance, which is probably 3 years ago now. Yeah, I definitely was. And I didn't know what to, I was still hesitant on like what I was doing in the industry at the time. But I jumped in, lowballed the hell out of myself rate-wise, and then came in.
Yeah.
And they were blown away with some of the stuff. But I came in with them. I did like 18 days total over 2 years on that film or whatever. I had a blast.
Oh yeah.
It was really fun. I learned a lot. I didn't know, like, it was cool. Like, Brandon gave me the shot of being an audio guy. Like, I was already in the process of being an audio guy, and I've done a couple things beforehand, but I was still learning. And it's so funny. Like, I grew and my kit grew on that project. It was really funny. Like I came in with just a boom pole and a microphone and a mixer. That's all I had. Didn't have crap. Had like very, very light gear, and went out there, and he was always telling me, he's just like, Dave, your audio sounds great. Your audio sounds great. I'm like, really? I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'm just kind of just putting a microphone in someone's face and seeing if it works. And like, apparently everybody's liking it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it was so funny, like as it project went on, my kit grew and I grew. And then like, he was like, when the project came to a closer end, like the audio just got so much better.
Yeah. How did you get started in audit? Like just in film in general, I should say.
So I don't know. I always wanted to be in film, period. My parents knew I was always dramatic. I was thinking about doing acting when I was younger. Whenever my parents would take me to Disney World when I was younger for family vacations, I would go to like the Indiana Jones exhibit with the crazy, like the whole like stage thing.
Yeah, the stage
thing is nuts.
So
it's
great.
The greatest thing in the world. I saw that so many times, and that kind of like got me in the idea of working in like just the whole theater thing. You know, it's funny. I've never worked on theater. That's basically like a theater presentation.
Yeah.
I've never have done theater work ever. I've never worked on anything theater related. But I always liked that, and that's whatever. And like my parents, and I was always running around doing stupid action like things and being super over dramatic. I always had the idea that I wanted to do acting. So the original idea was to be an actor, and then whatever. And then I finally, when I got out of college, or when I was in high school, I never took any like classes in like TV or any of that stuff. I just didn't know what to do. It was like I knew I'm gonna work, but I wanted to learn more music stuff in high school. I was like, maybe I'll do music stuff. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? And then I went to college, La Roche, and I just got into a film degree. I said, like, all right, I'm gonna go to film school. I'm gonna do something. It was still in my mind. I never knew what I wanted to do.
So just going for like
going for a general film degree, but I'm going to work in the industry for something. But my mom is very, very religious, and she always told me, she's like, Dave, you're gonna like, she's like, God spoke to me at one point, and you're going to like, I used to do sound effects when I was whatever, and she says God spoke to me, and you're supposed to work in audio. Like, you're going to be like this sound guy. And I'm like, okay. She was always saying like, you're destined to be a sound guy. Like, she told me that before I went to college for film. So like, that's kind of freaky. And like, she always told me that I was going to be sound guy because Jesus and God spoke to her saying that I'm going to do that. And that's what's going to be like my career.
Huh.
And so I was like,
All
okay.
right.
So, and it was funny. Like, I was like, okay, Mom. All right. Destiny. I don't know.
All right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
She's a Christian counselor, so she's super religious.
That's what Jesus says.
That's what Jesus says. Okay. Yeah.
I'll
Okay. I'll do it.
I'll keep that in mind.
I'll keep that in mind, basically. And I was like, okay. So it's funny. I started working, just getting in film classes, getting into more stuff. And I worked on an indie film. Came in as a PA. And it was funny, actually. The guys that I did it with was Brendan and Zach, who owned Kept Shut Productions at the time. So I worked for this project called The Door Kept Shut. And their boom operator supposedly dropped out, and I held a boom pole on this really, really low-budget short film.
There you go.
I thought it was really fun. I was kind of good at it. I was like, but they were telling me, like, Dave, there's this guy named John Gena, love him. He's funny as hell. He's a guy at Pitt. He's just like, Dave, point the boom at the actor's face. That's what I remember hearing. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't hold the boom. Like, me and this other guy would swap back and forth because we couldn't hold the boom because it was so tiring. After I did the little independent film, I got called again. So the same people who did that movie. And they're like, hey, Dave, we want you to come back and be a boom operator for our next short film. I'm like, okay, great. I'd love to do it. So I came back and did another project, did a little bit more, got a little bit more into it, got better at it. And then after that short film ended, then I was asked by Jack Davis, who did The Chop. And The Chop was my first mixing job.
The Chop, I think I remember.
The Chop was like that wannabe. It was like a low, ultra low indie Fast and the Furious.
Okay,
and that's the project that I was my first mixing job, and this was like 3.5-4 years ago.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing still. You know what I mean? And I bought a boom pole, which was the NTG3 and like a little 7-foot boom, and that's all I had. I just bought a microphone and a boom pole, no mixer, but they had the mixer, and I worked with Ray Mongelli on that project, Ray and Missy Mongelli, And they had all the camera gear, and then they had a little sound mixer. And they were like, I came on the set, and they're like, she's like, oh my God, you have a Rode. What? We always have these crappy little microphones. And they had a boom pole that was made out of a mop. So they made a mop boom pole, and
Awesome.
I brought in my like intercoiled boom pole, and I used their mixer. And that was the job that I learned how to mix and boom. And that actually taught me how to be a really good boom operator, because I was starting to get better, and I was thinking about how to, like, I learned about the polar pattern and like how to control the axis on the microphone accurately without wireless microphones. And that's kind of how I did it. And then I kept getting asked after that project wrapped. I kept getting asked, and I was like, I feel like this is something. So I'm like, I might as well get a mixer. And I bought a mixer, and now I'm like $14,000 down the drain, and now I have a bunch of crap.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's how
it goes. But yeah, that's how I started, and now I'm a full-time freelance sound mixer.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, you got to start somewhere, and you just got to find what you're good at.
Did you ever want to go full-time freelance?
I've tried to do full-time freelance, and I wanted to shoot myself, which is why I don't really do it much anymore.
Right. It sucks. It's really brutal. Full-time freelance is really brutal, but
I tried to do it for like 2 or 3 months, and I was terrible at it. I just couldn't get enough jobs.
Right. I saw a niche with sound because people kept asking me to do ultra low indies, and I was like, okay, there's a little thing here. And I heard at the time there was only one other guy named Chris Bell doing it. I was like, oh. So it's just me and Chris Bell.
This motherfucker.
Oh, this guy takes all my freaking jobs. I'm always having some issues with Chris, but no, I love Chris Bell. He's great.
Chris is great.
Me and him, he's gotten me some really big gigs in the past, and I've always sent his name all over the place. So we do some good work, but we are definitely competing with each other like nonstop.
Definitely, you guys seem to be at the top of the indie scene in Pittsburgh. For sound. And I saw that niche, so that's why I was like, okay, I think freelancing is the way to do it. And I had a big internship here in the city for a film company, and that's how I got further in the door past the indie level. That's how I got on big corporation projects and whatnot, working with like Westinghouse and big commercials, Sunkist, Lego. Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That got me my foot in the door. I've done big corporates because of them, and then they're like, I was an intern, and then they're like, hey, this is Dave, he's doing audio, and then it sent me to another thing. I've done like oil site audio, like crazy corporate videos I've gotten on because I was I had a big internship. I don't know. It's like probably I don't really know. Like the craziest crap probably was working on the chop. We did some really stupid crap.
Oh, really?
We were hanging out of cars, like holding microphones and shit.
I'm assuming there wasn't.
While we were driving like 80 miles per hour.
I'm assuming there wasn't the proper safety precautions.
No. Not on the chop. Whatever got the shot and whatever got the audio, we did it. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Stupid crap.
Jesus.
But it doesn't matter. It looked cool. But probably the dumbest thing you can do, and I've done it a few times. And I just did it on a project called Mulligan, which was this big TV show here in Pittsburgh. It was big like union but not union project.
Yeah.
Had Steve O'Paris. It was the AD of the city working on it, like the AD for films here. Every project comes here. He's like he's the guy. And then they had the freaking guy from Mindhunter named Brian Osmond who shot all of camera operator on Mindhunter.
Okay.
And I was like, how the hell am I the sound mixer to these like legends? I'm like, cool. But I was like, to impress them, the stupidest thing I did was I got in the back of a car, laying down in the trunk, and they were doing a police chase sequence, and I laid in the back of the trunk while they were going about 90 miles per hour around turns.
Good Lord.
And I mixed their audio perfectly.
That's awesome.
Hid microphones, but you're not supposed to do that. Don't do that. That's a bad thing to do. You're supposed to put the mixer in the car. If you don't have crazy wireless stuff, put it in the car, set it up, and walk away. And press record and walk away. The most craziest shoot I ever saw, though, in my career of filmmaking was when I was an intern, and it was a raining money shoot. The company that I interned for rented out 100,000 fake $1 bills called movie picture use only money.
Yeah.
And Oh my God. And we did a political ad. It was Tom Corbett versus Tom Wolfe, like, I don't know, like 6 years ago. And we went down to this Aspen wall and we rained money over the city of Aspinwall. We literally made it rain. We had the producers screaming, "Money! Money!" We were shooting a thing in off speed, which is slow motion. And we would have like realistic shots, and they would cut to slow motion of people looking into the sky, and there'd be hundreds of thousands of dollars of money just flying to the streets. The freaking 3 days of filming that was super windy, and there was money going everywhere, flying all over the place over this local town. We had to put a reverse 911 call out so that people would not spend these money because it looks super real. Because after more and more it hit the ground, they looked exactly real because they were dirty and gross. We literally had like, there was people on CO2 canisters on ladders, like 15 feet in the air, shooting hundreds and thousands of ones out of their hands with a Dremel, with this wooden block, and shooting into this compressing cannon. And then they had a bunch of production assistants on the ground with these giant fans, and we were taking, there was giant stacks of money. It looked like Bryan Cranston's like Breaking Bad, basically. We would just go into like a box and start picking up money and flicking it like you'd make it rain, just doing that noise. And then the producer was like, "We can't cut yet. We're still shooting," and they're still shooting in slow motion. So we're running around picking up ones and throwing it into the fans. It was crazy. It was the stupidest, ridiculous thing. I remember we blew up. We actually shot like, we lost like I think 40,000 ones. They had an idea to return the ones back to the company, but it was all fucked up and it was all destroyed and screwed up.
You can say fuck.
Okay, fine. I said fuck. All right, whatever. All the money was going on the freeway and cars are swerving. Just raining money in the sky.
I wonder if people were like, were people getting out of their cars and
I
like,
think
oh
so,
my God,
yeah.
yes. Oh,
dude,
I'm rich.
Dude, it was the most ridiculous crap I've ever seen. I was like, are you kidding me? I thought it was really funny. Yeah, we did a Steelers commercial. Like people wearing like Steelers clothing. I helped set up, I was a grip on that, and I helped set up a beauty pageant.
Okay.
For like a Steelers shirt. With like this whole entire beauty pageant. We had a ballerina dancing. We had a freaking like symphony playing with people wearing Steelers shirts. It was wacky. We did a wedding. Crazy crap. They do crazy skits.
Huh.
Fun stuff.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I kind of wish I moved to Atlanta though. A while ago.
There's a lot of talk about people going to Atlanta.
Yeah, but do you know the role if you want to get in the union? Do you know the union rules?
What's the union rules?
If you want to be a union guy working on a union set, and there's like 300 plus union sets in Atlanta, so there's like booming amount of work, you have to live, in order to join the IATSE union, you have to live 18 months in that state before you can even write an application to get in the union. So that's why I didn't move. So that's why I'm still a Pittsburgh sound guy.
So you would have to spend pretty much 18 months doing non-union gigs.
Yeah, before you can even apply to put your name in put your name on the list, and then you still got to grind and hustle your way in.
Man, that's rough.
It's like could be two and a half years.
And I assume moving to a new city, if you don't have any connections there, that's probably like starting
fresh.
Literally
starting fresh, and that's why I was really hesitant. I have a lot of friends that moved California and this and that, but I always wanted to get in the union, but that is like how it works. And I told actually Joe that. Joe was really really wanted to go and move to Atlanta, and I told him, he says, I want to join the union in Atlanta. I was like, dude, are you aware that you have to have an 18-month year residency? And then he's like, no. I'm like, look it up. It's called the Local 479. Yeah. That's the role.
Yeah, he mentioned that to me too. So
he was pissed when I told him, because I found him when I was going to a set. I was working in December, and I saw him walking by, and he was just about to crack. And I was like, you can't, don't move to Atlanta if you're trying to go in the union, because you're not going to be able to get in right away. Or you join the union here and then you transfer, which you can do.
Oh, so that's what you're working towards.
Mm-hmm. Because then I can have that option. I don't know what the deal is with the transfer, when you can transfer once you're in the union in a certain state.
Yeah.
But it is a thing that you can do eventually. So
cool.
Yeah, I know.
And that wraps up our sort of best of Pearls of Wisdom in Filmmaking. If you liked this, let me know, and I'll try to cut together some more. I have a few more. Another one I could probably do in filmmaking. One that I'm trying to put together for music, because we've had a lot of people come on to talk about music. So those are a few ideas I'm tossing around. And I've got some more stuff on the way. As things, like I said, as things start to normalize in the world, we'll probably start to get back to normal with recording. So expect some new content here in the near future. Hopefully not 3 months down the road, due to like the various circumstances that have happened, but a lot sooner. I'm not going to try to stick to any sort of schedule, because I've learned that promising anything under a certain schedule never seems to work out for me, because that's just how the world works. And unfortunately, have just way too many things going on and not enough time to do them all. So I'll get them out as soon as possible. Just bear with me. If you're really enjoying this, let me know. Give me some feedback. Follow me on the social medias and the like, and just let's have a conversation about this and how ways to improve it, ways that you guys can help out with it. I'm always open to hearing anything from you guys. You are the reason that I do this, as well as just this passion for anything in the realm of creative media. That's the other half of this. So I know you guys, if you're watching this, you might share that same passion, and I'd love to hear from you. So thanks again for watching, for listening, and I will see you again in the future.